Did you know that the most dangerous moments of your life occur before you have even finished your first cup of coffee? It sounds like a dramatic statement, but as a specialist in cardiovascular health, I have seen the data that proves it. My name is Dr. Ethan Cole, and today we are going to pull back the curtain on a silent medical phenomenon that affects millions of people every single morning. Statistics from hospitals across the globe consistently show a terrifying spike in medical emergencies between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Specifically, the first 3 hours after you open your eyes are the most critical window for your heart and your brain. This is the period when the majority of heart attacks and strokes occur. But why? Is it just bad luck? Or is something deeper happening within our biology? The truth is, while we sleep, our bodies are in a state of profound repair and conservation. But the moment we wake up, we demand that our system shifts from 0 to 60 in a matter of seconds. Most people believe that their morning routine is healthy, or at the very least harmless. They follow the same habits they have practiced for decades, unaware that they are inadvertently placing a massive amount of stress on their cardiovascular system at its most vulnerable moment. In this comprehensive guide, I am going to reveal 4 specific morning habits that are common, almost automatic, yet potentially lethal. These are errors that cardiologists have warned about for years, yet they remain largely ignored by the general public. More importantly, I will not just leave you with the fear. I am going to show you the exact science-backed adjustments you can make to your morning to shield your heart and ensure your longevity. If you value your health and the time you have with your loved ones, you cannot afford to ignore what happens in that first 180-minute window of your day. To truly understand the danger and protect yourself, we must first understand the incredible yet violent transformation your body undergoes the moment you wake up. Imagine your body as a sophisticated engine. During the night, that engine is idling. Your heart rate slows down to its minimum, your blood pressure drops, and your internal temperature cools. Your blood flows smoothly and slowly, and your nervous system is dominated by the parasympathetic branch, which is responsible for rest and digestion. However, the transition from sleep to wakefulness is not a gentle slope. It is an abrupt surge. This is what we call the circadian morning surge. The moment your brain perceives light or the sound of an alarm, it sends a signal to the adrenal glands to release a massive wave of hormones, primarily cortisol and adrenaline. These are the same chemicals your body uses during a fight or flight response. This hormonal surge serves a purpose. It is designed to wake you up and prepare you for the day's challenges. But this chemical cocktail comes with a heavy price. Adrenaline causes your heart to beat significantly faster and more forcefully. It causes your blood vessels to constrict, which leads to a sharp, sudden spike in your blood pressure. Simultaneously, your blood becomes naturally thicker and more prone to clotting in the morning. This is an evolutionary trait designed to prevent us from bleeding out if we were attacked by a predator shortly after waking up. In a perfectly healthy young person, the cardiovascular system can usually handle this surge without issue. But as we age, or if we have underlying conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or stiffening of the arteries, this morning surge becomes a high-risk event. The heart is suddenly asked to pump thicker blood through narrower pipes at a much faster rate. This creates the perfect storm for a plaque rupture or a blood clot to form, leading directly to a cardiac event. When you add the wrong habits to this already volatile biological state, you are essentially pouring gasoline on a fire. Let us examine the first major error, a habit I call the gravity trap. I want you to be honest with yourself. When your alarm goes off, how quickly do you get out of bed? For many, the answer is immediately. Perhaps you are worried about being late for work, or you have a busy morning planned, so you swing your legs over the side and stand up in one fluid motion. This seems like a sign of productivity, but for your heart, it is a massive shock. To illustrate this, let me tell you about a former patient of mine, whom we will call Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison was a 63-year-old retired engineer who took great pride in his discipline. Every morning at 6:30 a.m., he would jump out of bed the second his alarm rang to start his day. He began noticing that he would often feel a slight dizziness or a momentary darkening of his vision, but he dismissed it as just a sign of getting older. One Tuesday morning, that dizziness didn't go away. As he stood up quickly, his blood pressure plummeted and then spiked violently as his heart tried to compensate. This sudden fluctuation, combined with his stiffened arteries, caused a minor stroke. Luckily, he survived, and that is when he came to see me. What happened to Mr. Harrison is a classic case of failing to manage the transition of gravity. When you are lying down, your blood is distributed evenly throughout your body. When you stand up suddenly, gravity pulls that blood toward your lower extremities, your legs, and your abdomen. To prevent you from fainting, your heart must immediately beat faster, and your vessels must constrict to push that blood back up to your brain. This is known as orthostatic adjustment. In the morning, when your blood is already thick and your pressure is already surging from the cortisol we discussed in part 2, this sudden demand for gravity compensation can push your heart over the limit. It can cause a dangerous spike in blood pressure that puts immense strain on the walls of your arteries. The solution, which I taught Mr. Harrison and which I want to teach you, is the 2-minute awakening protocol. Instead of jumping up, I want you to stay in bed for 60 seconds after you wake up. While lying on your back, gently move your ankles in circles and flex your toes. This wakes up the circulation in your legs. Then, sit up slowly and rest on the edge of the bed for another minute. Take 5 deep diaphragmatic breaths. This sends a signal to your nervous system that the transition is controlled and safe. This simple act reduces the mechanical stress on your heart and allows your blood pressure to stabilize before you take your first step. It is a small investment of time that provides a massive shield for your cardiovascular health. After you have successfully navigated the transition of standing up, we move to the kitchen. For many of you, the next step in your ritual is almost sacred: the first cup of coffee or a very strong black tea. It is the fuel that many believe is necessary to jumpstart their brain. But if you are drinking that caffeine on an empty stomach within the first 30 minutes of waking up, you are creating a chemical conflict inside your body that your heart has to mediate. In medical terms, we need to look at the relationship between caffeine and a hormone I mentioned earlier, cortisol. Your body has a natural built-in alarm clock known as the cortisol awakening response. Between 30 to 45 minutes after you wake up, your cortisol levels naturally peak. This is your body's way of providing energy, focus, and alertness. It is a powerful, natural stimulant. Now, imagine what happens when you introduce a high dose of caffeine into your bloodstream at the exact same moment your natural cortisol is at its highest. Caffeine is a central nervous system stimulant. It triggers the release of even more adrenaline and blocks the receptors that tell your heart to relax. When you take it on an empty stomach, the absorption is incredibly rapid. There is no food to slow down the process. This results in what I call a cardiac overdrive. For someone with perfectly elastic arteries, this might just cause a bit of jitters or a slightly racing heart. But if you are over 50, or if you have a history of hypertension, this sudden surge in heart rate and blood pressure can be the tipping point. I have seen many patients who complain of palpitations or a sense of pounding in their chest during their morning commute. They usually blame their stress or their job, but the culprit is often the chemical cocktail of caffeine and peak cortisol hitting an empty stomach. This habit is particularly dangerous because it increases the workload of the heart at the exact time when your blood is at its thickest. It's like forcing a pump to work at double speed while it is trying to move heavy sludge. The adjustment here is not to give up your beloved coffee. Coffee is actually rich in antioxidants and can be very beneficial for long-term heart health. The secret lies in the timing. I want you to implement the buffer rule. Your first task upon entering the kitchen should be to drink 8 to 10 ounces of room temperature water. This hydrates the system and begins to thin the blood. Wait at least 20 to 30 minutes before having your coffee. Even better, try to have your coffee alongside a small amount of food, perhaps a handful of nuts, a piece of fruit, or a slice of whole grain toast. By providing a buffer of water and food, you slow down the absorption of caffeine and allow your natural cortisol peak to subside, ensuring a much smoother and safer energy transition for your heart. Now, let us discuss a habit that many consider the height of hygiene and health, the morning shower. Whether you prefer a steaming hot bath to loosen your muscles or a freezing cold ice bath to wake up your senses, doing this immediately after waking up is one of the most underestimated risks to your cardiovascular stability. I want you to think about the physics of your blood vessels. They are like a network of flexible pipes that expand and contract based on temperature. When you step into a very hot shower, your body experiences sudden vasodilation. This means your peripheral blood vessels, those near the surface of your skin, open up wide to help your body dissipate the heat. Because so much blood suddenly rushes to the surface of your skin, your internal blood pressure can drop precipitously. To compensate for this sudden drop, your heart has to kick into high gear. It begins to beat faster and harder to keep enough blood flowing to your brain and vital organs. For a heart that is already under the stress of the morning surge, this extra demand can lead to lightheadedness, fainting, or in severe cases, an ischemic event where the heart muscle itself doesn't get enough oxygen. On the flip side, many people are now following the trend of cold showers or cold plunges in the morning. While cold therapy has its benefits, doing it shortly after waking up causes the exact opposite and equally dangerous reaction: intense vasoconstriction. The cold causes your blood vessels to shut down instantly to protect your core temperature. This sends your blood pressure skyrocketing like a rocket. For someone with undiagnosed plaque in their arteries, this sudden pressure spike is like a stress test that they didn't sign up for. It can cause a piece of plaque to rupture, leading to a sudden blockage. I remember a case involving a patient named Sarah, a very active woman in her late 50s. She started a routine of cold morning showers because she heard it helped with inflammation. She ignored the fact that she always felt a strange tightness in her chest the moment the cold water hit her skin. She assumed it was just the shock of the cold. In reality, it was her heart struggling to pump against the massive pressure spike. The solution is what I call temperature neutrality. The ideal morning shower should be tepid, roughly between 96 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit, or 36 to 38 degrees Celsius. This is close to your natural body temperature and causes the least amount of cardiovascular stress. If you love your hot or cold showers, the key is gradualism. Start with tepid water and slowly, over the course of several minutes, adjust the temperature. Never subject your heart to a 40-degree temperature swing in a matter of seconds during those first 3 critical hours. Your blood vessels need time to adapt, and giving them that time is one of the simplest ways to prevent a morning tragedy. We now come to the 4th habit, and in my professional opinion, this is the most insidious because it is invisible. It is what I call the silent sludge. This habit is the failure to properly hydrate the moment you wake up. To understand why this is a cardiac emergency waiting to happen, we need to look at what has been happening to your blood while you were asleep. During a typical 6 to 8 hour sleep cycle, your body is continuously losing moisture. You lose water through your breath with every exhale, and you lose it through your skin via insensible perspiration. Because you are not drinking during this time, you wake up in a state of physiological dehydration. In the laboratory, we can see the direct result of this: increased blood viscosity. When you are dehydrated, the liquid portion of your blood, the plasma, decreases in volume. This makes your blood thicker, stickier, and more concentrated with proteins and cells. Imagine trying to pump thick, heavy molasses through a garden hose versus pumping clear water. The pump, which is your heart, has to exert significantly more force to move that sludge through your system. But the danger goes deeper than just the effort of pumping. Thicker blood is significantly more prone to coagulation. In the morning, your body naturally increases levels of a protein called fibrinogen and makes your platelets stickier. This is part of the morning surge I described earlier. When you combine this natural clotting tendency with the thick, dehydrated state of your blood, you have created the ideal environment for a thrombus, a blood clot, to form. If that clot forms in a narrowed coronary artery, you have a heart attack. If it forms or travels to the brain, you have a stroke. Many people tell me, "But Dr. Cole, I don't feel thirsty in the morning." This is a dangerous trap, especially for those over the age of 60. As we age, our osmoreceptors, the sensors in the brain that detect dehydration, become less sensitive. You may be dangerously dehydrated and have thick blood without feeling the sensation of thirst at all. The mistake most people make is waiting until breakfast or even until lunch to start their water intake. By then, the damage of the morning surge has already peaked. They are operating their engine with low oil for the 3 most dangerous hours of the day. This lack of fluid doesn't just raise your risk of a heart attack, it also increases the concentration of stress hormones in your blood, further raising your blood pressure and making you feel fatigued and brain fogged. Understanding the silent sludge is the key to unlocking true morning safety. It is the missing piece of the puzzle that explains why even seemingly healthy people can suffer a cardiac event in the early hours. Fortunately, the remedy is perhaps the simplest medical intervention I can prescribe, which we will detail in the final blueprint. We have covered the dangers, the science, and the hidden risks. Now I want to give you a clear, step-by-step system to reorganize your morning. I call this the Cole Protocol. It is not about adding an hour of work to your day. It is about changing the sequence and the intention of your existing habits to create a cardiac shield. Step 1, the 2-minute transition. When your eyes open, do not move your torso. Stay flat on your back. For 60 seconds, perform ankle pumps. Flex your feet up and down and rotate them in circles. This activates the calf pump, which is often called the second heart, pushing blood from your lower extremities back toward your core. Then, sit up slowly and stay on the edge of the bed for 1 more minute. Use this time to take 5 slow, deep breaths, expanding your belly. This lowers your heart rate and stabilizes your blood pressure. Step 2, the internal rinse. Before you do anything else, before the shower, before the coffee, go to the kitchen and drink 10 to 12 ounces of room temperature water. To make this more effective, I recommend adding a small squeeze of lemon or a pinch of high-quality sea salt. This isn't for detox, it's for rapid absorption. The electrolytes help the water enter your bloodstream faster, thinning that sludge we discussed and reducing the workload on your heart immediately. Step 3, sequential energizing. Now you can have your coffee or tea, but remember the buffer rule. Aim to wait at least 30 minutes after waking so your natural cortisol has passed its peak. Drink your caffeine with a small amount of healthy fats or fiber, like a few walnuts or a piece of fruit. This prevents the caffeine spike and ensures a steady, safe rise in energy rather than a violent jolt to your heart. Step 4, the tepid transition. When you enter the shower, start with water that is neutral to your body temperature, about 98 degrees. Avoid the shock of extreme heat or cold. If you enjoy the benefits of cold water therapy, save it for the very end of your shower and only after your body has been awake for at least an hour. This gives your vascular system time to warm up its flexibility. By following this protocol, you are not fighting against your body's morning biology. You are working with it. You are smoothing out the spikes in blood pressure, thinning the blood when it is thickest, and protecting your arteries when they are most fragile. This is how you take control of that 3-hour danger window. As we bring this masterclass to a close, I want you to take a moment to reflect on why this information matters. Protecting your heart is not just about avoiding a diagnosis or a hospital stay. It is about the life you get to live because your heart remains strong. It is about the graduations you will attend, the walks you will take with your spouse, and the legacy you will leave for your children and grandchildren. The 4 habits we discussed, the sudden jump from bed, the caffeine spike on an empty stomach, the thermal shock of the shower, and the danger of morning dehydration, are all things within your control. You now have the knowledge that millions of people lack. But knowledge without action is just information. Real change happens when you decide that your health is worth those few small adjustments to your routine. I want to challenge you today. Do not try to change everything at once if it feels overwhelming. Start with step 2 of the Cole Protocol. Tomorrow morning, make the very first thing you do the drinking of a glass of water. Experience how that one small act changes how you feel by mid-morning. If you found this information valuable, I ask you to do 2 things. First, commit to yourself by typing Day 1 in the comments section below. This is your public declaration that you are taking control of your morning health starting now. Second, share this video with one person you love, especially if they are over the age of 50. You might be the reason they avoid a major medical crisis they didn't even see coming. I'm Dr. Ethan Cole. My mission is to help you understand the language of your body so you can live a long, vibrant, and healthy life. Thank you for spending these 25 minutes with me. Your heart is the engine of your life. Treat it with the respect it deserves. Subscribe to join our community of health-conscious individuals, and I will see you in the next video. Stay healthy and stay informed.